Things Gary does.
Chad had been waiting in the interrogation room for a couple minutes, just with the one light on the table and him sitting at the end of the table, just waiting. When they finally brought a man in, the man had dark brown hair and his eyes were very covered by his eyebrow line. It was very hard to see his eyes, but they brought him in, sat him down in the chair across from Chad, and Chad does what he always did. Just stared directly at the man. The man sat down, got his bearings, and saw Chad, a child of about 12, staring him in the face, and looked back at the officers. What is this? What's going on? The officers don't say anything, and they just turn and walk right back out of the interrogation room, and Chad just continues to stare. The man sits for a moment, a little uncomfortable, staring, and goes, "What is this? Who are you?" Chad stares back. "What did you do?" Man, I didn't do anything. I wasn't even at the house. Who are you? What did you do? Tell me what you did. And the man says, I was at work. I came home, opened the door, and she was laying on the ground with a pool of blood under her head. And then what did you do? Well, then I called the cops. How long did it take you to call the cops? I don't know. Try and guess. 5 minutes? Who are you? Why am I talking to you? Now Chad continues to stare, and what the man doesn't know is what's going through Chad's mind. As the man speaks, Chad can feel the quick feelings of his heart. He can feel his blood moving faster. He can feel the scatteredness of the man's mind. He can detect the subtle fluctuations in his temperature, almost as if he's feeling it himself, which is why Chad has learned to keep his face flat and straight so that the person across from him does not begin to understand what's going on. Chad asks another question. Who was she? Well, she was my girlfriend. And at this, Chad feels a drop in the chest. Nothing like the flutter of someone that was actually attached, someone that the man actually cared about, but something rather flat and placid, something more of like, I can't believe I'm getting caught for this person. And Chad begins to understand what's going on. But it's been a while since he's been called in on a situation, and so he decides to let this go out a little bit longer. And he asks, did you love her? Which is plain to Chad, but he figures he may as well ask. Yes, I loved her a lot. She meant a lot to me. We've been living in that house for 3 years. And Chad again feels the drop in the chest and feels the hands getting clammy. And he starts to get a few images, but he can't really detect exactly what they are. They're like silhouettes going across a light. But it's very rare for him to get actual images besides just the emotions and the feelings that he gets. And so Chad asks again, was she the only person that you've loved? And the man kind of shifts uncomfortably. I don't know what this is. I don't know why I'm talking to a kid. I don't know why you're asking these questions. I'm just asking a question, sir. Chad finds it's useful to utilize his child demeanor in order to elicit a little bit more complacency from the adults who figure he doesn't do anything and it's just some sort of fancy interrogation technique that the cops are using, which isn't all that far from the truth. The man goes, yeah. And Chad again sees flashes of an image, flashes of a long-haired woman, a little bit clearer now, rounder face, with some brown eyes. And Chad asks, does she have long hair? Did she, I mean? No. Cassie had short hair. It's how I like them. Chad gets a little uncomfortable with that statement, as there's a lot of floodings of shifts and twists going on. And Chad begins to feel something almost familiar. Something familiar in the emotion, something familiar in the images that he's getting. And Chad asks one more question. Do you have any kids? And the man goes, no. Very resolutely, very quickly. But Chad feels a little bit of doubt. But he gets a clearer image this time. He sees a very clear image of the woman that has been dancing around in silhouette up until now. And Chad recognizes this woman. And Chad himself feels a dip in his chest. And it's not from the man, it's from Chad this time. And then Chad feels a rise, a bit of anger that's going through. Now, this is dangerous when Chad feels this way, because not only can he feel the emotion of the interviewee, but if he's not careful, the interviewee will start to feel his emotion, and he can see it beginning to take place in the man, and the man's starting to get angry. The man is starting to get red in the face. And Chad realizes what's happening, and he quickly presses the button underneath the table. And the officers quickly rush in, and the man goes, no, I want to know what's going on here. I want to know why I'm talking to this kid. I have rights. And the officers quickly muffle the man, and they drag him out of the interrogation room as Chad is breathing quickly and trying to keep himself under control. And they drag the man out, and Officer Rangley walks into the interrogation room and goes, is everything okay, Chad? You all right? Chad goes, yeah. Can you call my mom? I need to ask her some questions.
Things done.